Welcome to From the Ashes, the Dungeon Crawler Network podcast all about Ashes of Creation by Intrepid Studios. Bear witness to the rebirth of the MMORPG genre from the ashes of an industry that's left the gamers behind. I'm Aggelos, your main host, and this is the very first, segment for this podcast called the Phoenix Roundtable. A little bit of a preface to what this actually is before we begin. This is a segment that we're going to bring on the show from time to time that is going to bring in various people from around the Ashes of Creation community to discuss various meta topics, news, that kind of thing, all related to Ashes of Creation. Now, this week, being our first episode, I have Isarii, the internet wordsmith over at MMOgames.com. Everything. I don't have everything in here. So he's the errantpenman.com. I didn't fill out your normal list of stuff. He's also my co-host over on the Dungeon Crawlers podcast. Sorry, how are you?
Hello, I'm doing well. And hopefully I'm coming here, with my silky smooth voice and this brand new microphone. It's finally starting to take seriously. So I hope you guys appreciate it.
Nice. Very nice. Yeah. So, obviously you'll be able to give your shout-outs at the end where you're at. Also, the other silky voice that I have on here, you may know him from around the official Discord, that's Saru.
Hello. How's everyone doing today?
Excellent. Now, this is actually, we normally weren't going to do this live, but you know what? I pretty much just was like, screw it, we're doing this live. And so this one is actually live. So hello, chat room. Thank you so much for being here. And we're going to go ahead, jump right on into this. But before we do, I have to give a couple shout outs to some awesome supporters over at patreon.com/Dungeon Crawler Network. Thank you so much, guys, for being amazing and for supporting us. We've got quite a few new patrons these past 2 weeks, and I want to give them the proper shout outs. First off, got to shout out the DCN official orc, Gnarlgut. Thank you. He is the one who actually came up with the name for this show, so therefore he won our little contest and now gets to walk around with a DCN t-shirt. So thank you so much for that. And we also had, I have to pull up my dashboard here of all the stuff of all the new patrons that we've got. Oh, my goodness. This is not the way that I wanted to do it, but hey, here we are. Patron manager. I'll do this later. All right. I wanted to have it up, but the patron page changed, and now I can't find everything. So, sorry, guys. I'll fix it for the next show. Let's go ahead and just jump right into some of our big topics that we got. So, first off, Intrepid Studios met with Unreal, and they had a big... I guess I shouldn't say big, but they had an interview about how Intrepid Studios is looking to reinvent the MMORPG genre with Ashes of Creation and using Unreal 4. Now, this has spawned a lot of hate pretty much everywhere, just from confusion of what Unreal is, because the common argument is that, hey, no MMO has ever used Unreal Engine before. How's it going to work? How's it going to handle these large-scale battles and things of that nature? And it kind of sucks that people take this stance, so we kind of want to talk about that a little bit. Sorry, I'm just gonna throw you under the bus, man.
Yeah, why are you doing this? I don't know anything about technical stuff.
All right, well then I'm gonna start off here.
What is a game engine? That's not a rhetorical question. That's just the groundwork we need to lay before I have an opinion here. No, I'm just kidding.
Do you really? No, we're going to assume people know about what a game engine is, being the backbone, pretty much what makes games. And it's the base code in which these things are built. But a lot of people are wondering, like, hey, the reason why you're using Unreal is actually because of the tools that the developers have given in order to, for the developers to actually go in and make changes to the backend. The graphics are gorgeous, but the graphics are not what are going to cause bad performance. It's the netcode that is actually going to cause the bad performance, if you will, if it's not done correctly. And thankfully, they're able to go in and edit all of that. And the argument is very true that there have been no MMOs made on Unreal 4. However, a lot of the really popular MMOs out right now were made on Unreal 3.
Yeah. Also worth noting, Unreal 4 has not existed long enough for an MMO's development cycle to have finished yet.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm glad you pointed it out because they're essentially the same base infrastructure between Unreal, 1 through 4. It's just they constantly make more and more improvements as you go along. But a lot of these games that are out now, obviously I don't like them because they're Asian imports, but they're some of the most beautiful MMOs out there. Like Blade and Soul actually runs on Unreal 3. And from what I actually hear, I have not played this, and I don't know, Saru, I think that's kind of up your alley, right? Have you played Blade and Soul?
Oh, that I have, dearest Aggelos. I have. And you know what? I loved Blade and Soul. And here's the thing. I have this big craving for Asian MMOs, and that's just my thing. I don't know why. I like the culture. I like the whole, shabam about it.
Sure.
But thing with Blade and Soul, it's beautiful. Here in the Western region, it was a little unoptimized and shit, but graphically, it's really beautiful if you have the computer for it. So definitely.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, with the graphic settings aren't rendered on the actual server themselves. All the server cares about is the calculations of what your character's doing and the amount of interactions the client is sending to the server. It's not actually rendering all of that. Your PC is, so you can have PC lag, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be able to, it does not affect server side.
I think lag is a good kind of topic point there, because I think a lot of people don't understand the difference between lag and graphical hitching. You see that on any game's tech support forums, or they're, in the chat, my game is lagging, every time we go into this fight, my game is lagging. No, I mean, it is, but it's not lag. Everybody knows what you mean when you use that, but that's not what's happening. And that's, I think, kind of what helps people get mixed up with this idea that having a beautiful looking game can cause lag. And it might cause your computer to blow up. And I would hope that, even a game like Ashes of Creation that's really good looking does have, the ability to downscale settings pretty severely for, people who are running the game on toasters, basically. But, for those of us that aren't, it won't be a problem.
I have a very nice toaster, thank you very much. It's old.
I know me previously, at least. I have a new computer now, but before, when I played Blade and Soul last year, I played on a toaster, and it was like RuneScape graphics, but you know what? It was still pretty good. I could play medium sometimes, when there wasn't many people. But yeah, you're right. It depends. A lot of people confuse between latency and, the fact that it's just unoptimized with graphics. So, I mean, yeah, you're right on.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, a lot of the optimization is handled, like you said, later when we go through, and that optimization is still handled client side. So I really don't understand where people are complaining, like, Unreal does not work with these games. It does, because I know people have been saying Blade and Soul had one of the best combat systems out there. Like, for feel, it felt good. I've actually heard people say that constantly, that it was a good feeling game. Saru, can you confirm that for me? Because I don't care for the Asian games.
Yeah, no, dude. I think, I don't know.
Terra was on UE3 as well, right? Terra was.
Yeah,
3 or 2. Yeah, Terra was another one that was on.
Yeah, another one that people praise for combat. And Terra, by the way, runs fine with like 200 people on screen. Mm-hmm. Or so I'm told, because I don't play trash Asian.
Wow, damn, that's savagery.
I'm really glad we have you here for actually the first segment we're doing on the Dungeon Crawler podcast after here, where we talk about Eve's latest war. I think that's going to be fun. Back to this.
No, but Blade and Soul, the difference between Blade and Soul and like Terra, for example, since you brought it up, Terra is more actiony, right? Mm-hmm. Especially if you're a healer. I was a healer in Terra, and I loved healing. You have to select the people, and you got to be near them and stuff like. So that's cool, because it all feels like this action camera. It's not really the combat; it's the camera. You're free moving and stuff like that. So I found that awesome. The thing with Blade and Soul that everyone praises, because you can jump around and go crazy, but you can also jump around and feel that action. Terra is a little more, I guess, grounded. So I don't know. With Blade and Soul, it's a little more free. It's a little more fluid when it comes to combat. And I'd like to see that in games, but we're still going back to tap targeting systems, which aren't bad. But
yes, actually, that's where I wanted to go next. Just in terms of latency, my understanding of the concern that people have around UE4 is that Unreal doesn't have a lot of the netcode tools in the background, sort of built in, like say the Hero engine would, but that it's also an extremely modular engine where people are able to just build that on their own and then save a whole bunch of work that they'd be doing trying to make a game look graphically good in an engine that's actually made for an MMO. So it's kind of just choosing where you want to allocate your resources there.
I'm glad you actually talked about allocating resources, because the argument was made, well, MMOs should just stick and make their own engines. Well, let's look at some games that did that, like Camelot Unchained, for instance.
Crowfall. I mean, a lot of work just trying to get things to work. Yeah,
they're cutting. They spent so much. I mean, and not saying anything bad about Camelot Unchained, because it's interesting, but they went the route of building their own engine right from the ground up. Their netcode, everything being the same. They've run into so many snags that their projection for being out is like a lot farther out than what they originally anticipated, because they weren't anticipating running into all these issues. When you start with an engine that already is solid and built, you're cutting out a lot of the needed back-end work. Now with them, they're going to have to build the netcode, but now they're not also going to have to build the front end as well. The graphical engine, the way the physics engines work, everything like that is already done. So you're saving your time and allowing you to work more on design.
But the thing that I was actually going to say, I kind of ended up hitting a lot of points there, was, Blade and Soul runs great on UE3, Terra runs great on whatever Unreal it happens to be running on, but those games are a lot more complicated in terms of getting the server to sync with what's happening client-side than a tab-targeted game is going to be. Ashes of Creation is very much taking the easy mode for what they have to make work. It looks like there's going to be some difficulties in terms of situations where we saw the mage's shield that they call up when they're flying, deflecting projectiles like the rocks as they fell. That could be pretty tricky if they end up trying to make that a real thing that happens. We definitely have seen collision abilities coming in. I'm trying to think. Iframes might be complicated, but probably not. Even iframes are kind of the easy mode, I think. So, I mean, just in terms of how well they actually have to get their netcode working, the bar for them, they're setting it a lot lower to provide that perfect experience than it would be for a super, super action-y title.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, there's also less calls on the server as well when you're going this tab target route. Now, given they're doing a hybrid, we don't know what that hybrid is yet. We've saw a little bit of their pre-alpha gameplay, which we'll probably talk about at a later time, not on this episode, obviously. But with that, there's less calls because you're not. It doesn't. You're not also targeting. You said the soft lock or the hard lock that you're using, it's all calculated at the press of the button, and that's how it goes. You're not calculating whether or not they were here at that exact time when your sword passed through. So yeah, I just it drives me nuts to think that these people are calling out just because Unreal 4 is essentially brand new, and yet all these other games that people keep talking about that were so good and actually had really tight controls, such as Blade and Soul and Terra, even though, like you said, they're the Asian MMOs that aren't Isarii and my forte, to be honest. But they did handle well, and that was due to the netcode, not the engine. Well, not just the graphical engine.
Yeah. And you gotta understand something. You bring up a good point, and this kind of to shut up everybody, because even if they're let's say there's an Unreal Engine 5 and it comes out tomorrow, and people are like, "Wow, you guys aren't even using Unreal Engine 5. You guys are trash." It's like, wow, people are going to say people don't even use Unreal Engine 5. People are gonna complain. You gotta just take it with what it is, and it is what it is. And also, sorry, I did check, and it is Unreal Engine 3 for Terra.
Yeah, I see it too. I just pulled it up. Yeah,
I knew a thing.
Right. Well, and I want to pull this out Skullhead 51X in chat actually said BDO used their own engine and they developed the game and engine within 4 years, but with a much larger staff. Pearl Abyss is pretty massive over there. They have a lot of funding and a lot of developers. Yeah, they have a much larger staff. So yeah, they probably had people working on the engine while also artists working on rendering all the different things that they're throwing into the game. I'm drawing a blank on the word right now. Assets. I don't know why I drew a blank on that word, but I did. They could afford to do that. An indie company like this, who has a much smaller team, spending that amount of time is, not quite feasible, especially when all the funding is coming self-funded. You're not getting paid off of what else Pearl Abyss had done. Obviously all those developers were still riding bank on previous games or things that were coming out. They don't have that now. All right. Moving on quickly from the Unreal Engine and the Unreal expectations, the next thing I really wanted to talk about, and this is actually going to be a little bit more tinfoily, and I want to kind of get your guys' thoughts on this. And in one of the recent Q&As, Steven was mentioning about experience and experience debt, how you're not going to de-level so much as you will accrue experience debt when you die, and then that will negatively affect your stats the more experience debt you have. So the question is the need for experience in a world of experience debt. How do you guys feel like that is going to work out? Sorry, I'm going to make you go first because I like throwing you in here.
Every time.
I know. Saru's a guest, though. I feel bad throwing it. We'll get him on a few more shows, and then I will not feel bad about throwing him under the bus.
It's all good.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting system. I honestly don't think it's something I feel particularly strongly about in any way. I guess for the sake of explaining it, because I don't think we did, my understanding of the system is it's kind of like de-leveling where you can't actually ever de-level. So, you'll die, you don't gain negative experience in your bar, I don't think. You might have to earn it off before you progress further. I don't know if we know that yet. But let's say a max level character dies, you'll gain a separate, basically, like, experience owed stat. And if you gain enough of it, that will decrease your performance as you gain more and more of it. So, and as you gain experience from doing whatever the hell it is you're doing, you'll slowly work that back until it's gone and you're back at peak physical performance again. Mm-hmm. But that's kind of how I understand it. I think it sounds cool, I guess. You know what? Like I said, I don't feel too strongly about it. It sounds like a nice penalty. It's something that could potentially, depending on how it's balanced, make death feel a little bit more meaningful than it has in a lot of more recent MMOs, which I think is great. It could also be kind of a meaningless feature, depending on like how quickly it makes an impact. I don't know. Yeah, based on what we know so far, I'm just kind of like, cool.
The thing that made me think about this, I'm surprised you haven't brought it up. Now, this isn't, the dungeon crawlers where you have to bring up Star Wars Galaxies every 5 minutes, but combat fatigue. That's honestly what I see this as. You're dying, you're getting fatigued, and it being in the case of experience, having to earn it back.
So, as you know, though, from our Crowfall discussion where we sort of live theory crafted making survival work as a social gameplay system, which is something I then wrote a whole article on. Shameless plug. Mm-hmm. Combat fatigue, the reason that was really interesting was not that you gained this long-term damage stat as you took damage, per se, something that didn't just heal right back up. It was because it forced you to interact with other players, spending downtime in a social setting to have that healed effectively. So it was a huge social tool that led to players gathering in places like cantinas. There was a wound system that worked very similarly that had people going to doctors and hospitals. And the doctors were players. The people that were healing them in cantinas were players. So it was very social, and it helped sort of build Star Wars Galaxies into that community that, has everybody is always saying no other MMO has really replicated since then. So experience debt could work that way. Yeah. Then it would be a much more enthusiastic cool. And, we have seen Steven say things that sound like they're going to have some mechanic that works that way. So maybe this is it. Maybe you're right. I hadn't thought about it. Maybe because they do want players gathering to have some sort of social downtime, they've said. How serious they are about that, I don't know. What kind of systems they have in mind, I'm not sure. But that would be a good way to do it. Yeah, if they go that way, that'd be cool.
Now, assuming that players start losing stats, and we talked about stats before, and Steven has confirmed that there will be such stats as, accuracy, crit, and that kind of RNG, the RPG stats. If people are losing it based on the amount of experience they've lost in this experience debt, all right, a common trope in MMOs is to cut off experience for easy targets. All right, like the gray's not rewarding any experience. But what happens if you just suck as a player? Sorry, this one's gonna be aimed at you. I kind of want to hear your thoughts. If you suck as a player,
that's even ruder.
I know. I actually only after I said it did I realize that that's how it's coming off. But if you look at his image right now, his eyes twitching, and that's why.
See, while you guys were talking, there's a lot like us moderators, we signed an actual NDA and we can't really reveal a lot of the information. So I'm trying to see what has been revealed so that I can talk to you about it. But a lot of what you're saying is, it's pretty spot on. I think Isarii has a pretty good idea of maybe what it would work like. But you got to also understand, I'm not sure if you even know, sleeping also affects your character as well. Eating affects your character. How you're active throughout the day affects your character. So yeah, I think that Adept would definitely, accumulate. If you keep dying and stuff like that, I think maybe at least on a personal level, I'm not saying this with whatever connection. I think it might be a separate bar or a separate percentage or something that maybe if you're getting more XP, it just kind of fills up and then you can go back to your normal XP. Alternatively,
that's kind of how I imagined it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Alternatively, it could lower your XP all the way down, but you don't really de-level, and when you still have that maybe a debuff of sorts. Your stats are down temporarily until you get that debt paid off by getting XP and doing quests like that. So that's what I think. I'm not entirely sure.
Now,
but it could still tie into what you're saying, by the way, where it's just an extra experience bar that is worked down by gaining experience. But maybe an option, maybe the most efficient option would be, instead of going and grinding for that, to go spend some time in a tavern with your local bard.
There you go.
I mean, it's possible.
Exactly.
I haven't seen anything to make me believe it's going to be that way, but I would like it.
It would affect the social systems of the game quite a bit, so that would be kind of neat. Now, how do you think this is going to affect at max level when you no longer, quote-unquote, need experience, except for in this case? You're running dungeons, raids, fighting in node
I imagine
wars.
that's why the debuff exists.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, you have a lot of systems in place and a lot of mechanisms in the game that allow you to progress as a player and also punish you if you're doing the shit that's not supposed to be done. You have players there's this guy that I saw in one game. He was really, really bad. SpaceX Rex or whatever. I can't remember his name, but he was he would kill all these players and eventually he would be punished in the same way. I know Black Desert Online kind of tried to do this system, but it was not really in the most, best way for people. Because a lot of people have used that.
Yeah, actually, they have talked about players who were corrupted seeing their performance reduced as the corruption stat goes higher. And it would be interesting if that's the same as experience stat, essentially. If it sort of works that way.
Right. Interesting. Final thing that I wanted to talk about for this one, and this one actually might be a little bit of a hot button topic.
Okay.
Yeah, no, this will be fun, and I wanted to mention this because PC Gamer came out with an article a few days ago talking about Ashes of Creation and their policy of the referral system. And the reason why I wanted to bring this up, and I'm gonna preface this all with a little bit of a story before I let Isarii go loose. Isari's been prepared for this one, I think.
By the way, I think calling it about the referral system is sort of a misrepresentation of the article.
It is, but the main reason why I wanted to pull it forward was because of the retraction request that was put out. That's what I'm aiming for. And you can go into more details, but the one thing I wanted to hit about is they essentially, PC Gamer, according to the article I was reading, reached out to Kickstarter and said, hey, Ashes of Creation is using their referral system as a way of, encouraging monetary gain, and then they're giving 15% of that back to whoever signs up under these people. And that also was meant to affect the Kickstarter rewards. They said that this is not in accordance with what Kickstarter will allow, and therefore said that they had to clear up the wording in their referral program to state that more or less that they're not going to use Kickstarter backing as part of the referral system. Now, Steven came back and posted that Kickstarter did indeed request that his team change the language on the referral system, the referral program, but claims that the PC Gamer issued an outright lie when the publication was written. And I quote, in response to PC Gamer's inquiry, Kickstarter told me they've informed Intrepid Studios, which has removed Kickstarter pledges from its referral program. Steven says that he's requested a retraction from PC Gamer, but PC Gamer has of yet not posted this for whatever reason. Steven says that the pledges from Kickstarter will have the referral reward associated with it, that it reflects its policy for a financial incentive for referrals and remains in accordance with their policies and procedure at Kickstarter. Now, that's where we left it off. Isarii, you had some other issues with this, and I'm going to let you go.
Well, I think we could start there, really. Mm-hmm. So, the PC Gamer article, that was written by Stephen Mesner, who is actually, I think, one of the best MMO writers we have, really. He focuses pretty heavily on it, and his Eve article, it's the same one that we're going to be focusing on in our next podcast right after this one. Mm-hmm. He's a really well-known guy that's really well-liked, and there's never been any issues with that before. And PC Gamers is, to my knowledge, one of the few gaming websites that isn't really hated by anyone. Because everybody has strong opinions on tons of websites like Kotaku, IGN. Everybody's like, you can't spell ignorant without IGN. And PC Gamer has always got a pass on that kind of thing. I think they're well respected. And I'm not saying, by the way, any of the opinions on the other websites are well deserved or anything. It's just this is something that people generally have a good opinion on. So when you read through the article, I think for Steven to go, Steven Sharif, of course they have the same name, to say, PC Gamer is lying about this, I think that's ridiculous. Especially when you look at this where it's saying PC Gamer is not saying Steven Sharif lied to them. They're saying this is what we were told by Kickstarter. Mm-hmm. I think what they were told by Kickstarter is what they printed. I have no reason to believe otherwise. Now, that may not be an accurate representation of the correspondence that Intrepid has had with Kickstarter. And it's entirely possible. I think it's more than likely when you read the way that PC Gamer has, here, Kickstarter told me they've informed Intrepid Studios, which has removed Kickstarter pledges from its referral program. Like, that's really vague. All Kickstarter said there was they've informed the studio and that it's in accordance with, the Kickstarter's policy, which it sounds like Steven says that conversation happened. I don't see any reason to jump to, it's a lie, it's a hit piece, or anything like that. It seems accurate. And the fact that there has been no retraction, no change made to the article, just makes me think that's even more true. So the thing that you and I have talked about a lot at this point is sort of this Steven's response, I think, Steven Sharif's response has been the more concerning issue to me than the article. And it's not really that concerning. Like, I'm still backing the game for a huge amount. But,
me too.
Yeah, I know. So, like, I'm not that concerned with it, but it's, this week you can tell that some of the criticisms have really been getting to him, and that's something that can definitely happen with indie studios that don't have like a dedicated PR person. And I don't blame him. We've been hearing the same shit this entire Kickstarter run, from mostly on Reddit, and it's been discussed, and I don't personally, I'm not worried about it.
Our whole conversation on Unreal spawned from Reddit.
He's made a lot of really good responses on Reddit, as well as some bad ones, and those were happening again this week. So I think over the course of the Kickstarter, they are really just getting sick of it, and it's starting to bleed through. And we talked about this sort of PRing your responses, and it is a bit of a double-edged sword. I'll just go ahead and state your opinion for you like I do, which is that on the one hand, it's fantastic dealing with indie devs when you're working as a content creator, because they will give you straight answers. They aren't BSing you. You don't get like the one-word responses that you're used to with AAA studios. Like you remember with ZeniMax, anytime you asked them a question, you had to be very careful with your phrasing, because if you gave them the opportunity to give you a one-word answer, they were going to do it.
Yes, absolutely.
And you had to almost trick them into telling you anything. And I've done a couple interviews with Steven now, as have you, and it's fantastic. You don't really think about it that much. You just say what you mean, and then you get a really well thought out, from the heart response. And that's great. But when they start getting flustered, they give, the same level of community interaction. And I think at some point you just want to say, people are being on Reddit. Wow! Who would have thought of that?
Who would have thought?
And just say that to yourself, and then go, maybe I don't need to respond to this one. I've covered this topic a number of times before in a very well-spoken way, and maybe I don't need to comment on this one. So one of the ones that a comment he left on Reddit, a couple of them actually, around the same time that he was saying that Stephen Mesner was lying on PC Gamer, which I don't believe at all. There was somebody making more negative comments on Reddit that seem very tinfoily. I'm not personally buying into them at all. The guy actually deleted his account who was making these, so I don't even think what I'm about to say Stephen said is wrong. He was spamming it on multiple threads. It seems like he might be right, but I don't think the right response is to go onto Reddit and say, I would ban the competitor paid troll shill if I could from this subreddit.
Even though we've all thought that multiple times.
Yeah. Even though I feel you, the guy's really annoying. It looked like he even had alt accounts promoting this shit and cross-posting his own stuff that he had made. Like, it was clearly somebody with way, way, way too much time on their hands, and it was annoying content. But it's just never a good look to go say that. So I wasn't that concerned about it, but when I saw those types of comments, it was a little disheartening. Where I was like, that doesn't look good. That's not winning you any friends. It's okay to think it, but maybe don't say it. And
it won
I
with me because I love it, but
Yeah. Well, I think his PC Gamer response kind of played with me the same way. Even though I'm very enthusiastic about this game, coming out and saying, "Oh, this is a lie," and we asked for a retraction, it's probably not a lie. And if you issued a retraction, you don't need to tell us. If you think they misstated something, misrepresented it, that's great. Issue the retraction, but you don't need to tell us. And then it saves you sort of an awkward situation where, they don't retract anything because they are telling the truth of what Kickstarter told them, and they have documentation of that, I would assume.
True.
And then everybody's going, well, who's telling the truth here? This publication that I've gotten my news from for years, an author that's well respected and well liked, or this new guy, with a new company that I've never heard of before a month ago. So I don't really think it's a problem. I just think it was sort of an unforced error that, I guess I'm not really worried about it. I just wouldn't do it.
Now,
Yeah.
Saru, go ahead.
I mean, I was there. We have a staff chat on Discord for, the Intrepid Studios and the moderation team, and we're always talking and stuff. So, you know, I was there when it happened, and it was way before, you know, it went public on Discord and he started talking and stuff like that. There's a few things that, I mean, I understand where you're coming from, Isarii, but at the same time, you know, Steven has this like deep passion about being transparent to a fault, like 100% transparent with.
No. I mean, I said that was a good thing. Like, it is.
That's why we love working with him so much.
It's totally good in some circumstances, and I love it when I'm working with him. But
yeah, I understand. No,
he can be controlled in the comment section. And I don't think he's done himself any favor here, or won over detractors or non-believers with this.
Yeah, no, you're right, but you know, at the same time, you know, what we've been dealing with, what they've been dealing with, truthfully, is, you know, there's people who are going on Google Ads that where you search up Ashes of Creation, and the first thing that comes up a referral link from anybody, you know, Bing or anybody. That's what we've been dealing with. We're trying to take those down, and there's people that have been talking a lot of crap on Reddit and talking a lot of crap on different types of mediums. And it's one thing, you know, attacking him because there was a huge debate thing about his whole, you know, MLM thing and pyramid schemes and whatever and so on and so forth that went on for weeks.
And by the way, I forgot to mention it. That was something where Stephen Mesner in the PC Gamer article went out of his way to defend Intrepid on. So right. I really didn't like. This was not a harsh article. Even in the games subreddit, where you'd expect to find its biggest fans, it was the PC Gamer article was posted with the title like "Hit PC Gamer Hit Piece," and almost let me say, I think the clear majority of the comments were saying, "This isn't a hit piece. This is pretty balanced." So it, you know, even in the games subreddit, where the circle jerk is that it's strongest. People were like, "No, I don't think this is bad. I don't agree with his concern." But all Stephen Mesner was really saying was, you know, there's a few things that I think maybe people should think about before they dive balls deep into this. And what was his closing there? Yeah, I don't know. He says, yeah, there's potential for something great, but the risks feel greater too. Anyone thinking of supporting Ashes of Creation prior to launch, whether through Kickstarter or any other means, should think carefully before proceeding. That was his closing statement.
But that statement can be argued against any Kickstarter.
Yes, that is true. I mean, that's true, and I don't think it's particularly harsh.
No, it's not.
But I'm trying to like show you like the mindset where, you know, Stephen Sharif was in. You know, like in the last couple.
I mentioned that in my earlier comments that, you know, these guys have been living and breathing this. There's been a lot of negativity on Reddit that we're all sick of, and they're passionate about it. No, I understand it. I said it earlier, but
I understand.
Yeah,
but continue your thoughts, Saru.
You're a professional.
Yeah, no, I understand where you're coming from.
Hold it in, you know. That's all I'm really saying.
All right, Saru, go ahead. Continue.
So, one last thing. But the quote before Stephen Mesner's closing on PC Gamer was, "That said, my time spent speaking with Sharif gave me the genuine impression that he's just someone with the resources to try to build his dream MMO." Again, this isn't a condemnation of Stephen Sharif from Stephen Mesner on any level.
Mm-hmm. All right, now you can continue, Saru.
Yeah, no. So I mean, I understand where you're coming from, and it's, it's completely valid. But I'm trying to tell you, like, you know, it's one thing, like, being attacked personally. He's like, all right, whatever, I'll take it. I'll defend myself, and I don't give a... You know, that's how it's been for weeks. But it's been where they're attacking his team and stuff. So he received the DM that night, and I don't know if he showed it on Discord, like, not just to us, like everybody, you know, saying, oh, you saw it, right? I'm not sure if you saw it, but it was like, oh, you know, there was the whole thing where Intrepid Studios were trying to buy ads with... what's it called? PC Gamer, and so they're trying to go, I don't know, do some other stuff. And it was just this whole conspiracy thing, and it became where everybody was agreeing, so, you know, he became agitated and all this stuff. And I agree that he should have been a little more PR about it, and that's where you have a PR manager and, you know, and deal with that type of stuff. But with an indie studio, you know, that's a tough thing, because he's fortunate because he's a millionaire, and he's able to go ahead and hire these people, which he's hired. I don't know if you saw today, he's hired quite a few.
4 or 5, I think. I got the release. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's tough, and the one thing I think you can't argue is that he's got a strong 100% passion for the game and its team, and he wants to make sure that it succeeds. And sure, his responses were, not the most friendly because it reflects badly on him, but at the same time, you can actually admire the passion and fire that he's going for this game.
Absolutely. And I actually wanted to throw one last thing in here from me, at least, was I honestly don't think it came off to me as Steven going, hey, PC Gamer is wrong, because I don't think PC Gamer is wrong either, because Kickstarter does have those rules in place. But at the same time, I think that the retraction was more of, hey, listen, this is how we're going to do stuff. It follows our policy. Once the money comes in, we can do what we want, kind of deal. We're not using it in this manner. We're gonna eat the cost. We're gonna pay out what we're gonna pay out. But the retraction's more so that the intention of Intrepid is made known over what PC Gamer is pretty much saying. Kickstarter says you can't share profits, which is true. And Intrepid's like, right, we're going to take that money, we're going to put it in, and then at the end of the thing, we're going to determine how much you've made based on this, and we're going to pay it out of our profits, not the Kickstarter. We're not handing it out day one kind of deal. And I think that's
definitely not.
More of a clarification than a... There's already been so much negativity.
No, you're right.
Not negativity. Naysaying about the referral system, which has been around. And sorry, you and I talked about this on the Dungeon Crawlers.
It's mostly...
Yeah, because this type of thing has been around forever. It's just normally hidden for affiliates. You go to any big streamer, all right, any big streamer, and they have some sort of affiliate, like you said, with like Green Man Gaming or G2A.
Most big websites, doing any sort of review is at least at a minimum going to have an Amazon affiliate program.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, we even have
it. And it's exactly the same thing. I think the only real valid complaint that people are making about the referral system is people are spamming the shit everywhere and it's annoying.
Oh, dude.
Yes, but that's not like a problem. Nobody's getting screwed by that. You're just getting annoyed.
Yeah.
It is. It's annoying, and that's the only thing. That's the only issue. I agree. It's everywhere.
It's not a big issue, but
I'm of the same notion. I mean, we use one as a thing for DCN. And I put it at the bottom of the list going, hey, if you want to support us, click this. If not, here's the normal one.
Actually, the other complaint is, and I know the Lazy Peon has been getting a lot of flack for this, is sort of that it's bringing content creators in who people are not sure if they can trust. And, not every content creator has one. I don't, because of that reason. A lot of the old media people who deal with writing, are not going to have referral links set up for themselves. So... take that, YouTubers, myself included. We finally have something over on you. So, but yeah, I mean, if that's a concern you have, just
don't use it.
Look and see who you're getting your information from. That should be something you're always doing. And again, affiliate marketing programs have always been available to content creators.
Always. It's just never on this scale.
This is just extra transparent.
The thing is, and I said this last time I was here with you guys, people are not used to, I'm going to say normal people. This is going to sound really, really bad, but normal people are not used to getting affiliate links.
Yep.
Content creators and YouTubers and big guys and, whatever are always used to getting affiliate links and getting paid for their founder packs that get paid through their link or so on and so forth, But now that it's available to everybody, everybody's like, I don't know, this is kind of weird, because it's not. It's now being available to all of you because they're not spending money on ads. You are the ad.
Right. And that's the whole premise, even during his talk, is this is why they want to do this. And I actually heard another podcast that shall remain nameless just because, who was talking about the best way to get MMO audience is not through ads, or anything of that nature. It's word of mouth. Hearing your friend going, hey, have you played X game? It's really awesome. You should. I think that's how I got into every single MMO I've ever played, was actually from somebody going, hey, you should check this out. Never from an ad. Even when I started playing World of Warcraft, they had commercials on TV. I've seen the commercials. They didn't really do anything for me. It was when a buddy of mine goes, dude, I'm playing this. This is awesome. You should play it too. That's what this whole thing is. And it's a way of getting a kickback. It's just people aren't used to seeing it. All right. That's all of our discussion topics that we had for this Phoenix Roundtable. I want to thank my my guest host for this from the community. We've got Isarii. You want to give your shout outs where people can find you?
Yes, you can find all of my stuff at errantpenman.com. You can find tweets at twitter.com/EthanMcPhee, EthanMacFie. I write for MMOgames.com, MMORPG.com, Gamespace.com, and a few occasional fan endeavors that I won't get into right now. And I'm also doing YouTube shit over at youtube.com/c/Isarii, Isarii. And I have a Twitch, but I never use it. But yeah, if you want to find everything in one place, errantpenman.com.
If you want to hear me say the entire thing, stick around for our next show where I have it all written down and it takes me 10 minutes to go through it all. Saru, community moderator over at the official Discord. Tell people where they can find you, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Well, you guys can go, and if you want to see me on Twitter, I'm on twitter.com/Sarumonin. All my links are there, basically. Anything you need to know. If you want to stalk me, it's all there. If you want to go and have a Twitter gift war, let's go, man. Let's get crazy. I do have a new project called Ascendum Gaming if you want to come and join a cool gaming community, but it won't be open until the summer. But you can go to ascendumgaming.com, which will be open in a couple days. That's about it.
Awesome. Yep, we're going to go ahead and do this segment from time to time. Actually, we've already planned the next one. Which will be next Friday. And you know what? I don't know if I'm going to do it live. We'll figure it out probably about 10 minutes before. Generally, the From the Ashes podcasts are not recorded live. We do it in a very segment-type base. Then we push it all together into a podcast at the end. But I thought this would be fun because we had time. And we were going to do another show anyway, so we're going to all roll in. So you can check that out.
I do think the roundtable segment is really good to do live when we can. Because the chat interaction is always fun.
It's true. And these are meant to be more meta and more discussion-based than anything, because we got our news segment and our one-on-one segment with Thais and the other segments of the show, which will be part of this part of the show going forward, obviously. And this one is a time-to-time kind of deal as we pull it in. So check us out, twitch.tv/Dungeon Crawler Network, our website, dungeoncrawlernetwork.com, where you can find all of our stuff, podcasts that we do, as well as links to our YouTube, our community Discord, all that fun stuff. Thank you so much for watching this episode of From the Ashes. We'll be back next week.